Care to say what you're doing right now?
Broke right now. What's that?
Care to say what you're doing right now?
Making the repair here on the I know this is not the proper tool to be using, but hey, you use what you can to get things done.
Wish we had something else.
Anyways, we're making a proper repair on the kind of like the throttle position sensor here on the carburetor. It's one part that I broke instead of being careful taking stuff out. I thought I had everything unhooked and everything, so when I pulled the carburetor out, I ended up pulling the connector apart. Unfortunately, don't have the new pin, so what basically all I'm going to do is just try to hardwire these in. Once again, it's going to be a pain in the butt. If I ever have to pull the carburetor out again, it's going to make it short. But what I'll do is just use a couple of butt connectors so I can just plug them in and go from there.
Okay, so we just crimped these wires with some plug-ins on the end, and we connected them together from the carburetor to like the computer to send a signal to tell it that the throttle is open. Right now we're going to go over it with some electrical tape on these to keep them safe and so they don't cause like a fire or something, which they probably wouldn't, but I don't know. I don't know much about ATVs, but yeah. Then once we get that done, we're going to hook the air tube from the carburetor to the air box, oil this up, put it in there, and we're going to leave the top of it off for the stage we are doing with the dyno jet. And yeah, we'll see if we can get it to run here in a little bit.
Is that on? Okay, we got all of our wiring fixed here. Go ahead and we're going to put the intake part on, our tube here, put our intake tube on into the carburetor from the air intake box. And then what we'll do here, I'm going to try something. I don't know if anybody else has ever done it, but on our new air filter here, we got this new one here, the old one. You know, kind of dirty, been in here for a while. These are they need to be oil filled. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I've never seen anybody do it, but I'm going to try it just for the fun of it. I'm going to use the K&N air filter oil. Just going to spray it on here. Hopefully, worst thing's going to happen is just going to deteriorate the filter here a little bit. You know, usually commonly you use like a 30 weight or something like that oil in them. But for some reason, I think I'm just going to try the K&N air filter oil here. We had it on hand. Of course, we've got plenty of oil on hand, but this is just something that I can just spray on it and just install and go. And you know, simple. You know, then you just get the K&N cleaner, clean it out, possibly just reuse the filter. But like I said, we're just getting started here. We're going to you know, just kind of do this and throw a few things. I mean, this air filter was only 16 bucks, cheap. So if I destroy it, oh well. Alright, continue watching.
So we're gonna show you how to put that right here. It should be easy because like it just goes on the way you took it off, but just backwards. So yeah, let's get into that.
So okay, we'll go ahead and it's kind of a pain in the butt. You do got to kind of wiggle it in a little bit, push, pull, whatever you got to do. You get it in there. Like I said, it can be a pain in the butt. Tight clearances here, but once you get it down and in there, you know, it's on and you're good to go. Therefore, I mean, you just got to kind of wiggle it around and make sure you don't pinch any wires, hooking things up. There's that one. And then you go down here to the air box. You know, have fun here trying to get it on, and there you go, everything's on. Get it on there, make sure everything looks good, make sure your kind of like your PCV line here is all hooked back up to the boxes and stuff. And then you're good to go there. I think our next deal is I'll grab me a screwdriver here real quick, and we'll go ahead and put the air filter in while we're doing this.
Yeah, so the airbox, like connecting the tube from the carburetor to the airbox, is pretty easy, as we just did it in like 30 seconds. And then now he's going to oil up the filter.
I mean, it's kind of a, to me,
It's
like I said, I just thought it'd be something easier than just dumping oil onto the filter. You know, then you kind of make some mess in it and stuff. So I was just going to use this, give it a shot. You know, like I said, what's the worst thing is I destroy the filter. Who cares? I'll just go get another one and we'll just go from there again. Get a little bit more oil in this thing. I think I've probably got enough. It's feeling pretty heavy there.
just do a light spray over the whole entire filter. Don't spray it on the inside, because don't want to do that.
Don't spray inside. Keep it on the outside. Snug it up in there. Of course, you can see how much oil I've got on it. Kind of a mess. Use your positioning plug here. Hold your filter in. And of course, it's going to fit tight the first time you do this. So get it in there.
The screwdriver.
Phillips screwdriver. Screw it back down inside there. And there it is, nice and tight. Of course, you can see how much oil it probably might have over.
And if you're doing stage 2 for this, if you do the dyno jet jets for the for an ATV, it says leave the airbox top off for more airflow, and clean this up a little bit.
One thing that I strongly suggest, I mean, everybody doesn't, you know, some people do it, some people don't. Mix them with gas starters down here. You know, like I was working with the electrical stuff, always take the negative wire off if you're working on something. Negative wire's off. Somebody wants to come in and, you know, kind of be a smart ass or something and turn the key on and try to start it while, you know, you got the carburetor off, and, you know, things get sucked into the motor. You know, just common practice. Just disconnect a positive or negative on it there, and just save yourself a bunch of hassle there. Now, the battery on this one here is dead, so we're going to have to put a little bit of a charge on it. I'm going to finish tightening up my airbox here, or my intake there, and we're going to probably put a charge on this. Next thing is I'm trying to debate if I want to put the fuel tank back on, just in case I got to make some adjustments or something. I really don't want to put it back on. I just might kind of just put it up there and just let it dangle for right now, and see what happens. Therefore, I can quickly make some adjustments to our new setup on the carburetor. So yeah, just continue watching, and we'll go on from here.
Okay. Alright, so we found out that the battery is dead. We thought it was a starter, and then we turned the bike on, and then tested the battery, and it is bad, really bad. So we have the charger connected, and he's going to plug it in real quick, and we'll be back to see if this charges the battery up, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Well, this is how you can try and find out.
Oh god. You can start these with that on, right?
Yeah. Kick that over.
Yeah. Battery was dead.
Shut her off.
She wants to crank over, but we picked up a new battery. It was pretty cheap for how much is usually our 15% off. That was $72. And we usually pay $85. Usually $80, but for some reason they're $85.
That one there was not good.
We're gonna pop that one out, pop the new one in. Hopefully she starts, and we can get her to, because she wants to crank over, but she can't. Show you guys what you do here.
And a lot of you probably seen this before. Batteries, of course, for the ATVs don't come pre-filled. At least around here they don't. So you got to fill them.
There's your acid,
the battery and
acid.
everything. So yeah, normally they don't, well, like I said, around here they don't come pre-filled or anything. You got to do it yourself. I'm sure it's the same as everybody else. Once again, sorry for the mess up here. If I haven't said anything, kind of just moved into this little shop here that we've got.
It's a one car garage basically, but there's a lot of stuff in here. Good enough for the 2 ATVs to get around and work with. So
enough to get started. Compared to what we used to have, a big garage and stuff like that. And we moved back here to the big town, got rid of the small towns, moved back here. So just basically trying to get started again. And
these are to put the connections from the bike or the ATV on.
Okay, so basically all you do is, if you do this right, just push down. There we go.
And then they start.
You should be kind of a crazy deal. You should be wearing safety glasses.
Because you don't want it splashing up,
Gloves,
getting your eyes
everything.
and your hands.
Yeah, what I'm doing here, don't recommend. I mean, seriously, guys, protect yourself and put safety glasses on. Wear gloves. I mean, you know, as the battery's acid's being in there, I mean, there's a possibility there's gases and stuff. It could explode in your face, and you know, it's just ridiculous as I continue to sit here and talk to you about it and still don't have safety glasses on or gloves. But seriously, protect yourself at all times when you're doing this kind of stuff here. The battery, or the battery acid is in the battery. Of course, you're getting the lovely rotten egg smell here all of a sudden. You can hear it bubbling. Good thing is, or nice thing is, or what you need to do is, after you've even done this here, at least put a little bit of a charge on this battery. It's a new one. It doesn't have anything. Funny thing is, though, is if you guys have ever done this, or if you haven't, if you take a multimeter and you hook up on here, and I'll do that right now. It'll automatically, it should have about 12 volts, 11.5 volts, or somewhere around in there.
Which is better than that battery. Just to be clear.
I mean, just to do this as it is. Let me take a quick look here.
And make sure.
Positive, negative.
No, switch it.
Switch them around. And we're going to see what it's got instantly.
That's
12.6. That's just dumping the acid in there. It does that. But it still wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of a charge on it, even though you've got enough to crank this over. It just kind of helps it out a little bit. And then also, guys, too, when you're doing this, be very careful to properly discard of all this stuff.
And if you have an old battery, look up an area to take the battery, then just throwing it away. Because the acid that is in the old battery can ruin a lot of stuff. So make sure you properly dispose of the battery.
Okay, so we got all that done.
Take your safety cap. That'll only shock you when they connect, won't they? You want to tell them what you're supposed to do with that battery?
Alright, so we got the new battery in. The old one, of course, when we tried to crank it over, it wouldn't do anything. Just barely even cranked over when we had the charger on it. Got the new one in now. So let's give it a shot and see if we've got the issue cured here. So we'll give it a shot here, see if it'll crank over a few times for us. Of course, no fuel tank, no fuel, so it's not going to fire up, but I just want to make sure here. We got our issue corrected. It was the battery. Just some simple testing on that there. Just kind of knew it was the battery, but I just kind of wanted to give it a shot here on the charger. When we before we even turned the switch on, I put a multimeter on it, which once again isn't the best thing to do. I mean, have the proper battery tester, but voltmeter will work just fine. Had 12.4 volts when we tried to before we turned the switch on, and then as soon as I turned the switch on, and then before I even started cranking on it, the volts went from 12.4, 12.3, 12.4 to
down to like 9
to 11.7, and then kind of just slowly dropped after that. And then as soon as I went to even try to crank it over, it dropped instantly, clear down to 9, little around 9 volts. So that was a clear indication the battery was no good. Hooked charger up, let it charge for about an hour. Tried to crank it over. Of course, we didn't show that in the video. And it just barely cranked over. So anyways, put the new battery in. Kind of a neat little deal. Of course, I dumped all the battery acid in, and the battery acid actually disappeared. Went in with the new battery here. I mean, kind of learned something new. I'm sure it's been around forever, but the battery, the parts inside actually absorbed the acid, and it kind of looked like the battery was empty. But it's got 12.7 volt or 12.7 volts in it. ATV cranks over pretty good. Of course, we don't have the fuel tank on it and everything, but I'd kind of like to see if it'll actually fire up and run here just one time. So we're going to continue working on it.
Okay.
Okay, so we got our fuel tank. We cleaned it all out. The fuel that was in it for about, I hate to say it, about 6 months. It's 105 octane fuel in it. Had about 2 gallons in it. Drained it out. Put in didn't put anything in it. Drained it out. Put it through some filters. Made sure that there was no debris and stuff in it. Cleaned the tank out. Put about maybe a half a gallon in it, enough to see if we can get this thing to fire up and run. So basically, I'm going to turn the fuel on here. We'll let it prime itself up, and cross my fingers that I got the right jet kits in it and everything's going to be good. So like I said, I'm going to turn the fuel on. I'll hopefully crack this switch over, and this thing's going to crack right off. We're going to find out. Let's do it. Switch on. Moment of truth. Let's see if we got this.
Before we redid the carburetor.
Running a little bit high. We'll make adjustments after that.
We still got to tune it. We just haven't got it out to tune it yet, because that one's there and we don't even have the body panels on. So we just got done with it.
Pop the throttle here. Of course, like everything else, it sounds good sitting here in the shop, but the true test is you got to go out and get a load underneath this thing and just see what it really does as performance. And like I said, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, it popped right off there. Kind of surprised it, like that. I mean, usually I don't get that lucky. I don't know about anybody else, but I normally don't get that lucky that they just pop right off and run. But I'm kind of impressed there. Everything seems to be better. Like Trenton said, this thing sounds much better than what it did even throughout the whole racing year last year when we had it out and running. We had multiple issues with idling. And then of course when your inlet screen kind of looks like that, it's kind of a little bit messed up and stuff. I mean, it just completely, the carburetor was just needed to be an updated deal. Once again, got 142 main jet in it with the dyno dyno jet system. Like I said, you get a lot of stuff inside that kit there. A lot of stuff than what you need, but you know what? Who's to say this is your only project? You know, if you got some buddies out there that need some jetting, they got a smaller motor,
or if you have
bigger
another
motor.
ATV.
You know, we got another ATV here that, of course, is going to have a lot of work done on it. We're going to put a stroker motor in that there. You know, we're going to go max on the 500 here. We're just going to go to the 6. I do believe it's a 636cc. I might be wrong on that. I have to look at the numbers again. But yeah, we're going to go max. Stage 2 cams on that one there. Of course, the old Suzuki here, it's bone stock, but it still hauls butt. I'm impressed with it. You know, even with the carburetor was messed up and stuff, and just a normal jetting on it, I was impressed. Third gear, of course, the town that we was in, you could ride these things up and down the highway, and the cops would just wave at you. Wouldn't have a problem with it. Just as long as you wasn't, you know, being ridiculous or something. Respectful. But anyways, yeah, this thing here, before we did this update, I mean, you put it in third gear and mash the throttle, and it would actually start, you would feel yourself starting to slide back on the seat, which I was kind of impressed for the 400 here, bone stock. Like I said, if you would, we got this one here. We'll put the body back on it, and our next project, like I said, is this 07 Polaris Predator 500. We'll, like I said, that's going to be a complete motor teardown, rebuild, stroker. Of course, you know, we're going to do a little bit of dyno into it. You know, we've only got about 3 more months for our first race season starts, so we got plenty of time. Not too scared. Like to get these things out and get them running. If you would, check back with us for more videos. Engine performance concepts. Of course, you'll be able to see our website here pretty soon. We're getting everything all set up and getting ready to go. But you know, like I said, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the next videos coming up, especially porting and polishing the 500 cylinder head and stuff like that. Going to try to get as much power out as we can. Might even get a little crazy and might shoot a little nitrous through it too. We're going to see what it'll do. Like I said, check back with us. Engine performance concepts. Thank you.